Hey everybody, this is Aquarius Maximus on this Two of Clubs, King of Clubs day. Pardon my congestion. I'm getting over a serious cold or the flu over the weekend, but I was really excited about doing this podcast. I said I'm going to go ahead and do this podcast, and it was the perfect day. What I'm so excited about is basically coming into the awareness of what my deepest fears have been in life. Right now, if some of you have been following me on Facebook, you know I've been writing a lot about my past experiences, especially for the last couple of years. And currently, I'm undergoing this astrological transit that is really difficult, and I wrote about it. And essentially, it's Saturn, transiting Saturn conjunct my moon, my natal moon. My natal moon is in Sagittarius, which makes me, a very kind of happy-go-lucky person on pretty much. I pretty much have a fairly good mood, optimistic mood in life. When Saturn kind of comes inching up on your moon, you start feeling or sensing a sense of change coming, or a deep change coming. And that's exactly what I've been going through. And I've tried to figure out what this Saturn moon thing was about. And I spent a lot of time and talk with one of my good friends, Hecka Activated, who she's like the expert on Saturn moon to me, because she had been warning me about it for a while and telling me what I had to look forward to, because she did go through it herself, and we all go through it. So, me being the Sag moon that I am, I was like, it's not going to be that bad. I'm going to be all right. Jupiter is going to kick in and not make it so bad. And true, I do think that Jupiter has made it a lot bearable. And what I say by Jupiter is because Jupiter is the ruler of Sag. So pretty much that means that, I could be optimistic in the face of some terrible stuff, but still have my little inch of optimism. But Saturn will kind of come in and squeeze your last little bit of optimism out to you are pessimistic, or you are in fear, or you decide that you want to hide and shut yourself away from the world. But that's kind of what it's designed to do, to pull you back so that you can take a good hardcore look at things, and a lot of times we won't do that unless we're shook to our very core. So as I started going through this transit, I started realizing that, this is about facing my fears. But I was like, what is it that I'm afraid of? Because, we often don't really know. We're not in awareness of what our deepest fears are, believe it or not. We think we know. There's certain things that take place and we're like, oh yeah, that's what it is. I'm afraid of being alone, or I'm afraid of success, or whatever. I think those are a lot of the surface fears, but the deepest fears, and the funniest thing is, I think that the deepest fears are probably the most simplest things. Once you really face them, you realize that, wow, that's really dumb. My fear is, in essence, I mean, to other people might seem dumb, because the things that I fear are the things that other people do on a day-to-day basis. So I started examining what my fears were, and I have Saturn in the 4th house in Cancer. So Cancer is ruled by the moon. So again, with the moon, you're talking about my children. You're talking about my relationship with my children, my home, because that's the 4th house. So we know that this has something to do with that. And I was born with Saturn retrograde, which makes my Saturn a little bit different than the average person's Saturn. But anyway, I began to realize over the last couple of days, excuse me, I have to cough, over the last couple of days, what my fear is. And essentially, my deepest fear has been allowing people to come in and help me and to assist me with my children. I've been very, very, very overprotective of my children, to the point that my last relationship, I have an ex that basically was trying to sick every government agency known to man on me in regards to my children. So for the last 4 years, I've had all kind of people in my home forced on me, even if the accusations were not true, or exaggerated. I had to deal with people being involved in my life and my children's life. I've been a very independent person. I've worked hard. I used to be very financially independent, and I did everything, but the key thing is I've been afraid to allow people to help me. I've been afraid to allow people to, and I mean, I got 8 kids, who with 8 kids wouldn't need help? I've had people around me that I've been able to see how they integrate and how they allow community and society to help them, how they lean on sources of support. And I have not leaned on anybody or anything. Not to say in the past I haven't had food stamps. I've had food stamps in the past and stuff like that, but I haven't leaned on community support to help me with my children. I have a friend who strongly leans on the church to help her support her children. I have friends that lean on their family. I have friends that they lean on people, but for some reason on the next, I've had a fear. I guess it's a fear of being judged, that because I have 8 kids or because I have a lot of kids, if I get somebody to help me out, or if I let go, loosen the reins, then people are going to look at me as a bad parent. Or look at me maybe as a welfare mom or something like that, even though I'm not a welfare mom, So I think that has been very impactful, and that's kept me crippled to a degree. And how I realized that I started overcoming that fear is I started loosening up the reins, allowing other people to do that. I talk a lot about child support and the importance of it. And for years, I didn't even, I didn't have anything to do with child support. And that's also a big part of that, is also allowing people to do what they're supposed to do, or their role, allowing people to help, allowing people to contribute and support that are supposed to be doing things. If you got such a tight rein on things, you don't even want that. And you come up with all kinds of excuses. Oh, no, I don't want to be bothered, or blah, 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 blah. But these things will help you. And this thing's has been beating my head for the last couple of years. You could be getting a consistent check every month to help you with the children. Regardless, it's something that you can depend on. And it's interesting because when Saturn came in, approaching my moon, I lost my main source of income. And my income dropped. So it was like, okay, at that point, I really could have used that money coming in. But, Saturn wanted to teach me a lesson. It wanted to show me the importance of having these things in place and having these support systems in place, because when you need it, it's there. And then you won't have to struggle. You won't have to, evaluate whether or not you need to go that route. It's just there because it's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to have some support, in your life. It's just a part of raising children. So my biggest fear was having support and allowing people to support me and my kids. And I wanted to do everything myself, So as Saturn came on my moon, it became abundantly clear that I need support. And I had no choice but to reach out to people to help me in different ways. I began considering things with my kids that I never would have considered in the past. I began considering things like my older kids going to military, Job Corps, things that I was so fearful of. I was really fearful of these things, and they're basic things. These are basic things, and a lot of these things really, really do help, especially single parents. So, more and more of these things start coming in, and then like I said, the last couple of days, I realized, like, wow, that may have been a really dumb fear, but that was what I was fearing. And it's all breaking down now, and I'm submitting to it, and it's actually turned out better for me. It's like I got some sense of relief and space and time to even start considering things that I could do for myself, like travel. Like, I have not been on a vacation in years. And anytime I even thought about the thought of maybe possibly traveling, I had to think about taking everybody with. I didn't have to think about taking everybody with me. I did think about taking everybody with me. So now I'm like, oh, I think I could take a vacation by myself. I can do some things, but I can carve out time to myself. You know, how great is that? And that's what happens when you face your fears. You can release yourself from some prisons in your mind, some things that are holding you back from achieving your life's purpose and from actually just being happy and being sane. So anyway, I had to share that. I thought that would be, a really good topic to talk about with our podcast because, this year I had a 9 of Hearts in Jupiter. And I was wondering how that was going to play out because that 9 of Hearts can be kind of rough. And I was like, dang, am I going to lose something? But 9s in Jupiter are about losing something that you ultimately gain such a great benefit from, such a great release, such a great relief from. So what I wound up doing is I decided to go ahead and send my younger kids to their dad for the summer. I was like, you know what? That's what normal people do. Granted, he's a little bit, whatever, but that's their father and they love him and he does love them. And, what's the summer going to do? You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's all in my head. Maybe my fears of what may ultimately transpire, maybe they'll never come to pass, and I am, I need the support, even if it's from him. I need it. I need a break. I have not had a break in a long time, like a long, consistent break. My 2 littlest ones are very high maintenance. So, I made that decision and I feel good about it. And it gives me a sense of optimism and peace that restores that in me that I need to be able to be successful. Because you need that optimism about life to be successful. And once you release those fears, that's where the optimism is. The fears are blocking the optimism. They're blocking your blessings. So you got to release them one way or the other. And when Saturn rolls around, it's going to force you to release them because, and some people, it's funny because I wrote the other day and I said that some people, they die of stubbornness, and that's true. People die of stubbornness. There are people who just won't release their fears and they cling to their fears all the way to their deathbed. And it's a sad and unfortunate thing. And not all people die like that, but, people who die, early deaths of, illnesses that may have been eating away at them for a long time. It's like, you got fear eating away at you. Like you've been struggling with this for a long time, So obviously you're meant to be here, or you're at least meant to enjoy that last time if you're not meant to be here. But you allowed this thing to kind of take you out of here. And you just decided to go with it, which is your prerogative. But, if you want to live, if you want to be happy, you got to decide if you're going to have the courage to face, your fears. And the North Node just went into Leo. And I've been talking about that as well because, Leo is the lion heart, the brave, courage. So I think the North Node came right around the right time for me because it took courage to make some of the decisions that I made. And I think a lot of other people are going to have courage too to make some decisions. Like, you're going to have the courage to do it. And, you're going to be rewarded for that valor, for that bravery in your own life. So again, today is a Two of Clubs day. And the karma card is the Ace of Spades, the challenging karma card. So you want to make that transformation, and you don't want that decision made for you. You don't want to be taken out of here, by some long condition because, just eating away at yourself because you just refuse to face those deep fears. This is Aquarius Maximus, and this is my podcast for the day. And I will try to do this frequently. Definitely these podcasts will be available in my app, and my app will be downloadable. So that may be where you can catch the podcast. But, if you caught the lesson, that would be that's a great thing. Face your fears. Two of Clubs day. Bye-bye.